Well, hello, and welcome back to my channel again, this time for my second video of the day for my SmackDown review. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this a weekly thing or not, but I guess we'll just see how this plays out. So let's get into it. We kick off the show with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns in the ring. Basically, Heyman's like, Roman Reigns is the tribal chief, and then he goes on listing the legacy of Samoans that came before Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns extends his hand out, and Paul Heyman stops in the middle of his sentence and hands him the microphone so he can speak. Basically, Roman says he doesn't want Heyman to acknowledge him as a tribal chief because Jey Uso wouldn't acknowledge him as a Do you really gotta do that in the middle of my video? That's kind of disrespectful. I got a little situation right now. Okay, I've momentarily solved the problem here. But, as I was saying, he said the issue, he doesn't want Heyman to acknowledge him as a tribal chief because Jey Uso wouldn't acknowledge him as a tribal chief. And then he requested that his cousin come down to the ring, more so demanded than requested, and out came Jey Uso. Again? So as I was saying, Jey Uso makes his way down to the ring, and they exchange some words. And essentially what Jey Uso says is that if his brother didn't throw the towel in, he would have been the new Universal Champion. Which, Jey, buddy, as much as you'd like to believe that, I think maybe you got hit in the head a little bit too hard and you don't remember the match correctly because you got speared quite a few times and you received quite a few elbows to the face and you definitely weren't looking like the winner in that match. So, I mean, your claim doesn't have the most legitimacy, but, you know, I guess it is what it is. And then Roman was still talking to Jey, and Jey was just staring cold hard at his Universal Championship, and Roman took notice of that, and he called him out for it. He's like, you can't even look... You can't even look me in the eyes. All you can look... Can you please relax? All right? I'm trying to record a video here. My dog is being very disrespectful at the moment. I apologize. But yeah, so he says he called Jey Uso out for just staring cold hard at his championship. He's like, you can't even look me at the eyes. All you care about is this championship. Does it really mean that much to you? And then he offers him a Hell in a Cell match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, quite out of nowhere. I mean, I guess that should be interesting, but I mean, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense, but not all that much. I guess they don't really have anything else in plan, and I guess they're just going to try to run this feud down. But basically, Roman Reigns really wants Jey Uso to acknowledge him as a tribal chief, and I guess he's not going to stop killing Jey Uso until those words come out of his mouth. So then Roman leaves the ring, and then before he enters backstage, Jey's like, Uso, I accept your challenge. You're on. And then AJ Styles comes down and pretty much degrades Jey Uso. He starts insulting him and he's saying he should forfeit his opportunity to someone more worthy. I forget exactly what he said to tick Jey off, but he said something and then Jey just snapped and started beating him down, and that led to an impromptu match. An impromptu match in which Jey Uso would successfully pin AJ Styles clean in the center of the ring, which was very surprising and very refreshing to see because, I mean, Jey Uso managed to pin one of the best wrestlers on the SmackDown roster. So yes, Jey Uso managed to pin one of the most successful people on the SmackDown roster in AJ Styles. And then there was a backstage promo segment with Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn being Sami Zayn is just fantastic. He said he knew he was always the rightful Intercontinental Champion and that he shouldn't have done the match, etc., etc. And he basically threw away Jeff Hardy's championship. And then he said he thought management was to blame, but then he realized the fans were to blame because us fans just accepted the fact that AJ and Jeff were the Intercontinental Champions during their respective reigns, which I can assure you, Mr. Zayn, was not the case for myself because I always believed you were the true champion and everyone else was fraudulent, as you have claimed, but I'll let that slide for now. Okay, I will accept the blame, I guess. I don't really have a choice, do I? But yeah, so Sami Zayn threw away Jeff Hardy's Intercontinental Championship and kept his own, so now he only has one belt, and that was that. That was that segment. And then we had Otis versus John Morrison. So let's talk about Otis for a second. I personally despise Mr. Otis. I think he's been a terrible Mr. Money in the Bank. I think he should never won the match in the first place. And this whole Mitby briefcase reign, I guess you could call it, it's just been horrendous. And I've hated every second of it. Because like at this point, Otis isn't even teasing cash anymore. Like at SummerSlam, when he came out to celebrate with Mandy Rose, which he clearly had his briefcase there, and when he had an opportunity to cash in on the main event when Roman Reigns killed everyone, he didn't even tease it. He didn't even come out. He just like fucked off. Like, it just pisses me off a lot. I believe Aleister Black should have won the Money in the Bank briefcase, but we're past that now. And seemingly there's going to be a court case between these two teams. What I hope happens is that the briefcase goes to either both Miz and Morrison, which would be interesting to see co-briefcase holders, or it just goes to one of them. Anything to get the briefcase off of this fucking buffoon named Otis, because I hate everything about him. But yes, Otis kind of not really squashes him. They had like a little bit of a match. Morrison got some shots in, but he pretty much just dominates Morrison throughout the match, and he wins with the Vader Bomb. So yeah, I guess moving forward, we'll have to see what occurs with his briefcase. Then we move on, and Sheamus just squashes Chad Gable for no reason. Shorty G, Chad Gable, whatever, same difference. I don't know why. I was looking forward to a potential alliance between him and Corbin because if you recall, that one time Gable did attack Riddle to assist Corbin for the King's Ransom, whatever that was supposed to be. And I thought there was potential there. I thought maybe they would do something, but I guess Gable is no longer aligned with Corbin, and he's now a face again. Maybe, I don't know. They didn't really go into too much detail, but he was squashed nonetheless. And Sheamus is looking as strong as ever, and I'm really invested in Sheamus at the moment. I really like his character, and I think he has a lot of potential. Presumably he's going to be inserted into the Intercontinental Championship picture at some point. But yeah, I'm liking what they're doing with Sheamus. I'm really invested in his character, and I like him a lot. And he looked very strong in this squash match tonight. And then we had the Kevin Owens show. That was interesting. He came out to interview one Alexa Bliss, which, as you know, Alexa's been having her running-ins with the Fiend and doing all that weird stuff, being like borderline possessed, basically. And Owens came out. Basically, he was asking her like, maybe if I can understand your motives, I can understand what's going on in Aleister Black's head. And Alexa Bliss, which she gave some very interesting answers. Owens accused her of being brainwashed, and she's like, yes, my brain has been washed, and I can see clearly now, essentially is what she said. Those weren't like her exact words, but that's basically what she was getting at. And I thought that was a phenomenal promo by Bliss, and I really liked it. I'm really into this new Alexa Bliss character, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. She's got me captivated in this. That was a very good promo segment. And then she was like, let him in. And then he's like, Bray Wyatt just comes out and he kills Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is dead. He killed him. So it'll be interesting to see if this changes Kevin Owens because, people have run-ins with the Fiend tend to change. So maybe he'll go back to being a heel at some point somehow. But then again, they didn't have a match, so I don't know if that'll be like the same thing. It'll just go be the same Kevin Owens. So I'm not really sure how that works. But either or, Kevin Owens is great. And he could potentially be drafted to SmackDown, or the Fiend could be drafted to Raw, depending on which. So this could have been like a seed to be planted to start another feud, perhaps, because a draft is coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with that as well. And then we had Matt Riddle and the Lucha House Party versus Cesaro, Nakamura, and Baron Corbin. Now, why this match happened, I really don't know. Why Baron Corbin even defeated Matt Riddle clean last week, I also don't know. That kind of came out of nowhere. I'm not complaining because I like Corbin and I want him to I think he deserves a push at this point, but randomly beating Matt Riddle after Matt Riddle already got the clean victory at the pay-per-view kind of doesn't really make sense to me. And then in this random 6-man tag team match, Matt Riddle pinned one half of the tag team champions, Cesaro, for no reason, and Kalisto kicked Lince Dorado in the face when he was trying to kick Cesaro in the face, I think, which makes no sense because it would have just been a disqualification anyways, and they're the faces, so why they'd be getting a disqualification finish in the first place makes absolutely no sense, but I guess Matt Riddle is now going to be a tag team title contender, which would only make sense because he did pin the tag team champions. I guess another way this could go is that Riddle and Corbin have like a 2 out of 3 falls match or something, because, I don't know why they're still continuing the feud. That kind of ended already, but 50-50 booking, I guess. I really don't know what's happening. But it was a good high-paced match nonetheless. It was definitely enjoyable to watch. And yeah. But it really made no sense at all in terms of storyline. At least to me, it didn't. Then we had the Carmella promo package, where she randomly revealed herself to be the mystery person in all these promo packages in the weeks prior. But yeah, essentially, Carmella said she was untouchable, and she also, like Sami Zayn earlier in the night, blamed the fans for her lack of focus, I guess, and her lack of success as of late. She said she forgot who she was, but now she remembered that she is Carmella, and she is untouchable. I'm very excited to see where this goes, because I am a very big fan of heel Carmella, and I think when she had the Money in the Bank briefcase was when she was at her best as a heel, and that was very good work. So what comes of this, I'm very interested to see. I would be all for a Carmella push. And then we had the Sasha Banks promo where she essentially said Bayley was only champion because of her and that she was going to kick her ass. And she challenged her to a title match the next week, which to me makes no sense because Bayley has incapacitated her several times with chairs to the head and neck on many occasions. So how she's able to been medically cleared to compete next week already for a title match, it just doesn't add up. So I think either she's going to be not medically cleared to compete and they're going to announce that on the show, or Bayley's going to attack her backstage or something. It's not going to be a clean match. If they do end up having a match, it's certainly not going to be clean. Bayley's going to either get disqualified or something, and they're going to set up for Hell in a Cell, which I still don't believe should happen. I feel like it's too early to pull the trigger on this because, like I said, Bayley has pretty much like severely injured her on a couple times at this point. So I mean, I feel like they should sell those injuries a little bit better and drag it out. Like I said, what I feel should have happened was she returns at the Rumble and either Sasha wins the Rumble, which I guess that wouldn't be the worst thing to happen. I think Sonya Deville should return to win the Rumble, but I wouldn't be opposed to Sasha winning it to set up that feud. Or Bayley essentially calls Sasha Banks and like eliminates her herself from the Rumble to set up their WrestleMania match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. But I guess they're pulling the trigger early and going to Hell in a Cell. But like I said, I don't think this title match is going to happen next week. Something's going to happen where she's either not medically cleared or Bayley's just going to beat the shit out of her backstage again. Then we move on to our main event, which is Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, before the match even started, Sami Zayn had managed to remove one of the turnbuckles to expose one of the turnbuckle pads, to expose the turnbuckle in one of the corners. Now, the match itself was a very solid match. It was a very entertaining match, and there were quite a few near fall spots, and it was all around a decent match, as you'd expect between these two guys. And the finish came about where basically Hardy went to the top rope, but Zayn pulled him off, and he smashed his head right on the exposed turnbuckle, and that's how Sami Zayn retained his championship. Now, I don't know what the angle really is they're trying to play out here. I don't know if they're trying to extend the feud to Hell in a Cell so they have like some sort of stipulation match there for the championship, or if this was just like their way of getting Hardy out of the title picture and then moving Zayn on to a new feud for Hell in a Cell. Either way, I'm interested to see where this goes. Sami Zayn is great, and he is amazing, and I love him as champion, and I'm glad he retained his championship at the pay-per-view. And yeah, so I don't know what's next for Jeff Hardy if he doesn't get the Intercontinental Championship match at the pay-per-view. But I don't really care either because I'm not really a big Hardy guy. What I'm really invested in, though, is Sami Zayn and what he does with that title. And also, this is like the first time in a while, I believe, the championship, the IC championship is main evented a show, or really any championship is main evented the show. They usually like do those championship matches in the middle of the show for some reason, which I never understood. I feel like the championship match should always main event the show, which I'm glad it did this time, but usually they don't. So yeah, that was an interesting little detail. But yeah, that was the show. So thank you for watching my review, and don't forget to leave a comment what you thought of the show, and if you agree or disagree with my viewpoints. So yeah, and also like and subscribe, of course, and tune in next time for when I have more video ideas.